Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 1 of our Leaders in Sustainability series by Outlaw Social. Today I'm very happy to have Evelyn McDonald on. Evelyn is the CEO of Scottish Edge, and she's also an old friend of mine, so I'm delighted to have you on, Evelyn. How are you doing today?
I'm feeling good today, Lee. How are you?
Yeah, really good. Excited to have you on. I think, so I obviously know quite a lot about you, Evelyn, and I'm sure a lot of people in the Scottish ecosystem do. But what might be quite nice to get us started is if you could give us a little bit of an introduction into you and your role at Scottish Edge. I think that'd be quite nice for the listeners.
Okay, so I think following a very small business journey of my own, quite a long time ago now, I got involved with a fledgling organisation called the Princess Scottish Youth Business Trust, which was all about putting small grants and loans into businesses set up by young people aged 18 to 25. I became very passionate about that organisation. I loved the work that we did. And I was there for many years. I was initially involved in pre-start support, then I was involved in operations and helping to create the network of regional managers. Then I took a little sidestep into growing businesses. I realised that whilst we were helping businesses to overcome the challenges of starting, a lot of the businesses were facing similar problems when they were trying to access growth finance. So I got involved in providing loans to businesses that had been supported by the trust that were looking to grow. And I loved that job. That was fantastic. That's where I met you, Lee.
Yeah, that's right.
And I got to support, I think it ended up being over 200 businesses across Scotland through the Growth Fund, and I still keep in touch with a number of those businesses who've subsequently, some of them have gone on to become Edge winners, some of them have come on to join the Scale Up Scotland programme or judge for Edge or mentor for Edge, so that also created a fantastic network of entrepreneurs for me. And then I was very lucky. A few years ago, I got involved with Edge as a judge. I had petitioned the government to add Young Edge to Edge, and then I got the chance when Scottish Edge was being pushed out of Scottish enterprise to the private sector to come on board as the first chief executive and actually establish Scottish Edge CIC, so we're a social enterprise, a community interest company, and I've been alongside the most fantastic team. I've been running the competition ever since. So
amazing.
That's history.
Yeah, brilliant. No, amazing. And I think that's why I was really excited to have you on, as I think you've been around the Scottish ecosystem for a while now, and something that I'm hoping we can have a chat around today is the kind of changes that you've seen happen, and obviously the purpose of this interview is around sustainability, and what I'm hoping you can give us an insight today is the change of kind of purpose-driven green businesses that you've been seeing get involved with Edge and in the wider Scottish ecosystem. So if it's okay, I'll jump into the first question that I've got lined up.
That would be great.
So we spoke last week, and you mentioned that recently the criteria for the Scottish Edge competition, that you've included a focus on impact. So I was just wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about what led you to doing that and what impact you're trying to achieve with that new criteria.
Okay, thanks, Lee. So I think that I've always kind of been driven by the impact that businesses can make. So I know that you and I share that goal, and that goes back some years ago, even when I was working on the Growth Fund. I mean, right from the early days when I got involved in helping young people to go into business, obviously a lot of that was around the job creation that could create for them, but also for other people. But also, I think latterly, when I was in that job, I was also particularly interested in what other impacts people could make with their business. So, and could that impact be built into the idea from the outset? So it wasn't just around job creation, which I still think is fantastic. I think one of the best things you can do in society is give someone a job, and I'm quoting Tom Hunter on that. But, there are so many other impacts that you can actually make with your business. So I was part of a group of people that were discussing that 7 or 8 years ago. And what I think we've seen over the last few years is how important that's become in business. And not just in the environmental impact that business can have, the social impact it can have. And also what I think is that what we're seeing more and more is that when people, I think many years ago that people viewed entrepreneurs as you were out to make money. Entrepreneurs wanted to make cash. That's what it was about. They wanted to just improve their own lot. We're really not seeing that now. Over the last few years, what we're seeing is people that are going into business to make a difference, and also to be doing something every day that excites them and makes them feel that they're contributing and gives them that feeling of purpose and value. And what can be better really than going to work every day, to work on something that you feel is actually making an impact on the world that we live in. And that, as I say, I could see that in a group of entrepreneurs 7 or 8 years ago in Scotland, and the desire to reach for that. But what I can say is that seems to have permeated across the ecosystem, and more that's what we see. We see that desire coming through. Wow. But we also felt that, it's hugely exciting, but we also felt that we're in a really nice position at Scottish Edge where we are seeing literally hundreds of new start businesses every year. And we're in we have to accept we're in a bit of a position of influence. Yeah. And we felt that, we could use that to a certain extent by both reflecting that current trend, but also encouraging it. So what we decided to do was create the impact criteria. So we have 6 criteria. So we basically took one of the 6 and sort of pushed it into the other criteria and created a new criteria, and all the criteria are weighted equally, and that was around impact. And we were asking people to say what societal and what environmental impact are you hoping to make with your business. Now we know that lots of the people that come into us are very early stage. I think in our last round, out of 305 applications, I think 186 were pre-trading, so that is very early stage. So we know that most people are talking about intentions at that stage. But what we felt is if we can get people to think about that, to create those intentions and embed them in the business right from the outset, that could be quite a powerful thing. Because what we could see from the answers to those questions was that some people had thought about this a lot, and some of the answers were wow, but other people hadn't really considered it. And so we felt that we were pushing them in that direction, and that had to be a positive thing. The other thing is what we're saying to people is that you can score really well on your team, you can score really well on your business growth potential and your customer focus, but if you are paying lip service to that, if you're not considering that could affect you progressing in the competition. So it's also, I think, a powerful message, in that we are trying to say that's something that we value. And that you should value from the outset.
I think that's amazing. I think, having been through the application process before, I think what's really nice about it is even just filling out the different sections around people and stuff like that, and entrepreneurial spirit, it's almost like a starting point, because if you've not got something in place, it allows you to actually get the thinking about it and go away and potentially implement something. And we've just started our B Corp journey, so we've just done our B Corp assessment, and the same thing has happened. We've looked at the assessment and where we're doing good and not so good, and it's gave us inspiration to put things into place. So I think similarly with your application process, I think that to get people thinking about impact will be really beneficial for the wider business ecosystem as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what we're hoping, Lee. And I think it worked well. We were essentially piloting it, but I'm delighted to say we're moving forward, and I can see that continuing to be a criteria as we go forward with the competition. So it's worked out well.
Brilliant. So I think that leads quite nicely to my next question. So this question is kind of around trends. So based on your kind of view of the kind of businesses that are applying for Edge and also the wider Scottish ecosystem, what trends are you seeing specifically in relation to kind of sustainability and purpose? I'm interested to see how trends are changing. Is there particular types of sustainable businesses that are applying more, or
Yes, so you're right. So as well as the sort of purpose-driven businesses that we're seeing a lot more in, so for example, around renewables and energy. Obviously, we're seeing more using AI in different ways. There's a lot around healthcare, and particularly a focus on healthcare for the elderly. So I think reflecting the trends in society, is coming through in the businesses that we're seeing. And also we had a look at the semi-finalists in the last round. So I think we took 45 businesses forward, and nearly 40% of those in the last round had a sustainable focus built into them. So that's interesting. So and we expect that to continue and to get even higher.
That's incredible. But I guess could you give us a few examples, the nitty-gritty stuff? Can you give us some examples of businesses that are coming, or either have been through or are coming through Scottish Edge, that have sustainability or impact as a kind of core driver? Is there any examples you can share? I'm sure you
there's quite a few, Lee. I mean, one of our more established ones is the vegan kind.
Yep.
So, and I think a lot of people have heard of the vegan kind. It's become a bit of a household name now, which is fantastic. They currently have the biggest vegan fridge in Europe, which is amazing. It's the biggest online vegan supermarket in the UK. What's really interesting about the vegan kind for me is if you actually chat to Scott and Caris, what they've tried to do through the vegan kind is to present you as a customer with so much choice and so many, if you like, substitute products that there really is no excuse for you to say, I can't be a vegan because I can't live without cheese. Well, they've got lots of cheese. I can't do without eggs. They've got eggs. They make a point of, or vegan eggs, I should say, they make a point of ensuring that they are at the cutting edge in terms of the products available, so that the choice is there to encourage people towards veganism and towards a plant-based diet. And that's hugely impactful. And that is built into their core at the outset. That's, they believe that encouraging people towards this is good for the planet. So that's a good one. But a more established one, if you look at the ones in the latest round, our circular economy winner is Quick Block, who are actually making it's basically it's like adult-sized Lego to make very quick. I was going to say housing, it's more like shelters that you can make, but the material is made out of recycled plastic, and then it can also be recycled again. And the original thinking behind it was actually to create shelters for humanitarian relief and in areas of disaster. They've subsequently found out that there are a lot of other different applications for this particular product. It's a hugely exciting time for that business, actually. It was a really great one for us to get involved in, and a really great circular product. We also saw one of our top winners was Dynaval. So probably didn't think I'd be mentioning bull semen this morning, but they do a bull semen analysis, which actually, in that case, essentially what they've done is they've created a portable unit that enables vets to test bulls, and then that way they're not going through processes with bulls and with cows where that there isn't any opportunity for success. And so, again, there's a sustainable aspect to that, and we also have to recognise that, if we're going to get milk, we have to be We have to be impregnating cows, and therefore all the different things that go with that. And so these are the kinds of quite cutting edge things that we see through age. And there's others. Even there was one that got to the semi-finals but didn't progress, or I think got to the wildcard edge finals, which was even in snail farming in Scotland, as an alternative source of food. And then we had Bug Bakes, who won in our STV age category, who are using insect protein in dog food, because they realised that dog food has an impact, has, as they describe it, a paw print on the planet. So it's how do you reduce the paw print?
Yeah. Wow. I'm slightly envious of all these businesses you get to get involved in and chat to. There's a huge variety.
It is, yeah, it's one of the lovely aspects of the job. And I think actually that myself and the team probably hear more pitches in Scotland than anyone else, because obviously there's all the, we're talking about around 250 to 300 businesses come into each round of age. And then the team and I also go along to events like EIE. We obviously participate as judges in university competitions and so on. So we really do get to see the, if you like, the cutting edge of things coming through. And usually we reflect on that. I mean, I remember a few years back when we suddenly saw a whole explosion of, beautiful soft drinks, because obviously alcohol consumption was going down. Yeah. And also people were moving away from the traditional iron brews and heavily carbonated and sugared drinks, and now moving forward, I would say that in this round we did see an awful lot of ideas around green heating and energy consumption and saving, and solar panels and things like that was probably one of the key trends in the last round of age.
Amazing. So I guess, like, just to give a background into how we met, so you obviously provided some great support to me in previous businesses while you were in your first role, and then we met through a couple of different organisations, Power of Youth being one, and I've said this to you before, but I was kind of in the early stages of my entrepreneurial career at that point, and just attending that event where there was people speaking about purpose and business for good, it drew me in, and it kind of unleashed this kind of career-long process of like finding out how I can make an impact beyond profit. But what I was going to ask is, you've obviously mentioned how over the past couple of years you've started to see a change in the dynamics of businesses that are applying. But what are you most excited about, kind of looking back and then looking to the future? What kind of motivates you? What are you most excited about with the kind of entrepreneurial ecosystem as it stands just now?
I suppose what I am excited about is that opportunity for small businesses to solve the problems that we have in Scotland. I remember talking to someone about that, about how exciting would it be if the answers to some of the global questions we have could be seeded and developed in Scotland, and then either sold or licensed across the world. A great example of that, and they've not completely cracked this nut yet at scale, is the business Q-Antech. I don't know if you've come across them. So basically and I need to make sure I get this right. So they extract chitin from langoustine shells and from mushrooms, and then turn it into biodegradable food wrap. But not only does the wrap work in the same way as the traditional food wrap, it actually works better, because there's something in the sort of microbial makeup of that food wrap that keeps the food fresher for longer. So if you just think about that in terms of, if in a supermarket, all the fresh food that is wrapped up in plastic at the moment, and also has a short shelf life. And that could potentially be replaced by food wrap that is made from food waste, and in addition to that, keeps the food fresher for longer, which means less food goes past its sell-by date and is thrown out. So how exciting is that? Another one like that is My Algae, which was an Edinburgh University spin-out. So basically they take whiskey water and then grow algae in the whiskey water, which is then used as fish food for salmon farming. So I think, what hugely excites me is the opportunity for these businesses to grow and develop and then to export their ideas around the world. It's like the whole Celtic renewables thing as well. I just think there's a lot of exciting businesses in Scotland, and I guess what I would like to see is that they reach their potential and that they scale. I mean, a lot of people don't know that we have a business in Scotland called Integrated Graphene, which have worked out how to make graphene at a reasonable cost. That could be absolutely massive in terms of being able to introduce that material as a replacement material. So I think that's what excites me. I do believe that if we can get in at the sort of early stages of those businesses, help them and support them, and then there are so many organisations in Scotland that then move forward with those businesses as they scale and grow. That's hugely exciting. If we can solve some of the world's problems from Scotland, and in doing so, generate, obviously, because the reason EDGE exists is because we are looking for the businesses we support to create jobs, and we're looking for the businesses we support to sell their product or service outside Scotland and have a positive impact on the Scottish economy. So that would be lovely.
Wow, well, you've completely just blown my mind with some of the examples that you gave there. But I would say we're at a different, we come at a different angle to support businesses. Obviously, we're a kind of we do sell services to businesses, but I'm consistently in awe of some of the ideas that do come out of Scotland. I think it's absolutely incredible, and I think the word potential is really important, because I'm motivated by exactly the same thing, making sure that I can use my skills to nurture and my team skills to nurture some of these great ideas to make an impact.
But I think what you do at Outlaw Social really, really well, Lee, is that you tell people's stories in an incredibly compelling and engaging way. And that's really important, because businesses have to do that in order. Businesses have to attract a lot of support. They have to build the right teams. They have to attract the right board members. They have to attract investors. They have to attract the entrepreneurial support ecosystem. And a lot of that comes from that ability to tell that story, to create that powerful brand that will draw people in and ensure that the business gets the support that it needs to move forward. So
absolutely,
that's very important.
Yeah, thank you. So we've spoke a lot about the ecosystem and a lot of the positives. I'm going to put you on the spot here, and if you could tell me, I guess, just anything or one thing that you would want to change about the ecosystem at the moment.
I think it's around funding. So funding is a challenge for ecosystem organisations, or at least the smaller ones. And an issue, I am hugely grateful for the support that we receive from Scottish Government, and we work with a great team in Scottish Government. But at the moment, they give me my funding on a year-to-year basis, and they do the same thing with other organisations. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Young Enterprise Scotland and the work that they do, the work that Jeff Leask does. But Jeff and I face the same problems, which is every year we've got to pitch for cash. We've got to fight for cash. Then we've got to get it in, disperse it, report on it, and then we're back to square one again. And you know how quick 12 months can go by. Now, to be fair on the government, they are recognising that, and apparently they're going to do a sort of spending review and look at potentially putting 3-year contracts in. And I think 3 years is great. I mean, obviously it'd be great if it was even longer than that, but 3 years would be marvellous, because then we would have an opportunity to pitch, to demonstrate that impact, and then to come back at the end of that period. But, it would give us a decent amount of time to actually deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on. So I think that's an issue. I think, and I've been banging on about this so long that I get bored listening to myself, but I think the whole enterprise in schools thing is an issue. And I think tech in schools is an issue. Obviously that came out really strongly in the Logan review.
Right.
I just think we've still not cracked that nut. We're still pushing. I mean, I would say, based on my experience with my children, we're still pushing people towards university.
Okay, yeah.
And further education all the time, but not enough towards apprenticeships, not enough towards entrepreneurship, and even within, and even things like computing, as in the Logan report, it's too small a group of people it's the really educated people that are being pushed towards that, but actually those skills can be acquired across the board. So I feel there's still a lot to be done in education, and sadly I've been saying that for years. So yeah, those are changes that I would make. Jeff Leask is doing an amazing job with that, but it's one man and one organisation, so I think more needs to be done.
Yep, I would agree, absolutely. Okay, we've covered quite a lot. Is there anything else you would like to cover, Evelyn?
Well, I suppose I would ask you, who else are you going to be? Have you got any other people lined up with this series? And also, what are you hoping to achieve with this? I mean, as I say, obviously, we know each other well, Lee, and I know how important this is to you, but it's just obviously you're pushing this out to the wider network. So what are you hoping to achieve?
Yeah, good question. So I guess at the core of it, in a similar vein, we do multiple pitches. We're having various conversations with businesses, organisations across a kind of typical working week. And what we've noticed in the past 6 to 9 months is a real shift in what businesses are prioritising and organisations are prioritising. So we've tried to do as much as we can to support businesses with thinking beyond profit, but also how we commercialise purpose and sustainable ideas and how we make them sustainable so that they can get to market. So we've diverted quite a lot of our attention to supporting businesses on that over the past, I'd say 6 to 9 months. It's really picked up pace. So this interview series is titled Leaders in Sustainability. So what I'm kind of looking to achieve is speak to people who are in the trenches, making an impact, dealing with businesses and supporting businesses that are making an impact. So we've got a few guests lined up. I think the next episode, we've got a gentleman called Scott Poynton coming on from the Pond Foundation. He's based in Switzerland and he's been heavily involved in sustainability initiatives for the past 30-40 years. Really interesting guy that I'm looking forward to interviewing. And we've got a few other guests lined up, but I would open it up to my network. I'm looking to get a really, and your network, a really good variety of individuals to come and share their knowledge. And I think educate people, but also inspire them, because as you said, a lot of businesses want to make, and individuals want to make an impact and a difference, but are really still struggle with how to get started.
Yes,
I think any conversation is really good, because if the right person stumbles across it, it might help them to get started.
Yeah, absolutely, Lee.
Yeah. Well, I forgot to say at the start, congratulations on getting the recent round of Scottish Edge done. It was nice to see all the winners, so a massive massive well done on that. I'm sure the work just starts all over again for you.
It does, and if you don't mind, if I can get a little plug, because you always need to get a little plug when you're doing things like this. So Round 18 goes live on the 6th of July.
Wow.
So, yep.
How can people find out more about that?
Best thing, Lee, is straight to the website. So scottishedge.com, and all the information and the button to apply is there. So, and we'll also, I think some people will have seen our ad on STV in the last round, and that will be running again. That starts, I think that runs from the 5th to the 14th of July. So
brilliant. Amazing.
Doing this again. So yeah, if you're interested in applying for Scottish Edge, get on the website.
Yep, I would back that up 100%. Cool. Well, Evelyn, I think we've reached time. We were pretty much on 30 minutes, so we've done a good job. I'd just like to say thanks for coming on. I'm sure everyone who's listens to this will get a lot of value from it. And yeah, thanks again.